She walked onto the immaculate clay of the Alps' most exclusive tennis estate. Her unbranded dress and worn sneakers were a stark contrast to the diamond-adorned elite. She was immediately met with a sharp verbal attack. Did the help get lost? A voice jeered, prompting cruel laughter. She's here to sweep the court, not play on it, another remarked, phones recording her simple ponytail and old bag. Then her billionaire husband, who owned the entire Avalon Tennis Estate, stepped through the private entrance. Avalon Tennis Estate was a cathedral of clay and privilege, its courts carved into the snowy peaks of the Alps, their red surfaces glowing like embers under the winter sun. This wasn't a mere tennis club, it was a sanctuary for the ultra-wealthy, billionaires, monarchs, and A-listers who played with rackets encrusted with diamonds. Each serve represented a display of dominance, each ensemble a statement of prestige valued at thousands. Silk banners from Cartier and Versace waved above the stands, and the air held the chill of alpine frost mingled with the aroma of affluence. Paparazzi were prohibited, with their drones intercepted by security, yet a live stream showcased every rally to a worldwide audience, presenting the elite in their accustomed environment. Past the velvet ropes, a retired tennis coach observed on his phone, his calloused hands steady, his eyes fixed on his daughter's quiet resolve. She walked onto the court alone, her simple white polo shirt free of logos, her tennis skirt subtly wrinkled, her worn canvas sneakers scuffing the clay, her chestnut hair secured in a low ponytail, a few strands swaying in the breeze, and her hazel eyes held a peaceful intensity. At 26, she possessed a striking beauty, not the refined appearance of the privileged, but the natural elegance of someone who had previously dominated college courts with a racket and a dream. Growing up in a small Oregon town, she spent her childhood on public courts, her father instructing her to hit with precision even before she could ride a bike. She secured a full-ride tennis scholarship to Yale, her serves combining power and grace, and her name was spoken as that of a potential professional. 5 years prior, she had given up her career to care for her mother, who was succumbing to cancer, exchanging tournaments for hospital vigils. Now, she held a used tennis bag, her appearance a brief spark in the cold, her unpretentiousness a contrast to Avalon's magnificence. The stands hummed as she neared the registration desk, her worn tennis shoes attracting attention like imperfections in a work of art. Eleanor Prescott, spouse of a CEO at a global bank, sat enveloped in a $15,000 mink coat, her tone laced with derision. "It seems the club is organizing charity events for ordinary people now," she remarked, ensuring the live stream captured her statement. Amusement spread among the attendees, with numerous devices recording her simple clothing. Marcus Tate, descendant of a hedge fund fortune, reclined in a courtside seat, his $6,000 sunglasses reflecting the light, and scoffed, "What will they allow next? Letting the gardeners participate?" A click echoed, their Rolexes glinting in the sunlight. Her fingers lightly touched her racket, her expression calm, yet the atmosphere was charged with derision. Her father's face on the live stream grew strained, the taunts a painful blow to his honor, and the viewers bristled, their frustration poised to explode. As she registered, the upper class's contempt escalated into a planned attack. A cluster of socialites in $10,000 tennis dresses arranged themselves in a semicircle, their voices a poisonous blend. She looked out of place, one remarked, tossing a monogrammed towel towards her. "Back to where you came from," another called, displaying a phone adorned with diamonds. "She's dressed like she raided a second-hand shop," he exclaimed. Avalon Beggar filmed with her phone, focusing on her worn sneakers, while a venture capitalist in an expensive blazer declared, "She's tarnishing the reputation of this estate." The phones illuminated the scene with the glow of live-streamed posts. The sound of laughter from the crowd felt like a harsh punishment, each word striking against her quietness. Her father's face, visible on the live stream, showed distress, every insult a blow to his daughter's honor. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts racing, indignant at this group's continued harshness. The politician's daughter and Europe's third-ranked tennis player stood close to the net, her personalized racket shining in the sunlight. Her blonde hair was styled into a sleek bun, her $10,000 tennis dress sparkling with Swarovski crystals. She had competed against Olympic champions, her name synonymous with elite tennis. She directed a chilly gaze at the newcomer, her voice cutting through the surrounding noise. "This is a private court, not a public school gym class," she stated, her words carried by the livestream microphone. The bleachers erupted, phones were raised, captions began to appear, with the hashtag #AvalonOutsider. Her friends, a group of socialites dressed in custom athletic wear, chuckled, one playfully throwing a tennis ball toward the newcomer's feet. "Pick it up, newbie," she said. The woman stepped over it, her hazel eyes meeting the players, her gaze unwavering despite a rapid pulse. The audience felt a wave of anger, their hearts aching for her as her dignity was challenged. The disdain of the wealthy intensified as the politician's daughter approached, her crystal-studded dress shimmering, her voice sharp and cutting. "You're a disgrace to this court," she stated, her voice clear enough for the live stream to broadcast globally. "Regarding the dress and those sneakers, did you obtain them from a dumpster? You will never be accepted by our group," she declared, accompanied by the sound of clicking and laughter which formed a harsh, mocking chorus as phones focused on the worn canvas shoes. "You're a person of no consequence attempting to portray someone of high standing," she added, her expression conveying disdain. "This estate warrants a more distinguished individual than someone impoverished." The woman gripped her racket, her hazel eyes betraying a suppressed intensity, yet her expression stayed calm. Her father's hands shook on the live stream. The personal attack felt like a blow to his daughter's value. The audience's anger surged, their hearts aching, furious at this intentional challenge to her identity. A cluster of players, their sneakers spotless, congregated close to the court, their hushed voices as cutting as ice. "She's a nobody," one muttered, the words audible on the live stream. The standards at Avalon were declining. Someone threw a crumpled score sheet at her feet, saying, "Clean that up, maid." The paper slid across the clay, lightly touching her sneakers, but she remained still. The politician's daughter's coach, a former professional with a Rolex on his wrist, smiled from the sidelines. "She's not ready," he stated, his voice audible. "This court is for champions, not charity cases." The crowd applauded, their elitism forming a barrier around her. Her hazel eyes shone with a contained intensity, yet her smile remained, a delicate challenge to their disdain. The audience's outrage surged, their anger at this planned cruelty a tangible force. The ridicule extended beyond the players. A tournament official, his badge bright, came to her at the desk, his voice tinged with condescension. "Miss, this isn't an open tryout," he stated, loud enough for the bleachers to hear. "Her attire was not in accordance with our dress code," he indicated, pointing to her worn sneakers, his smile reflected by onlookers. "We generally do not allow non-members to play on Avalon's courts," he stated, prompting laughter from the privileged attendees. Mobile phones focused on her composed expression, with captions quickly appearing, "Hat tennis tramp." The audience's agreement felt like an overwhelming pressure, their condescension a public humiliation. She tugged at her ponytail, her hazel eyes fixed, yet her father's livestream displayed his face falling, the official's involvement a new hurt. The viewers' anger surged, their pulses racing at this systemic breach. She moved to the middle of the court, her used bag hanging from her shoulder, and met the politician's daughter's gaze with a peaceful smile. "One set," she stated, her voice strong and even, piercing the amusement as sharply as a piece of broken glass. "Should I fail to score a single point, I will clean your shoes with my towel on my knees and apologize in front of everyone. However, if I defeat you 6-0, you clean my shoes, withdraw from Avalon, and bow your head to me in front of this whole estate." The bleachers erupted in mocking laughter, the crowd scorn a tidal wave. The tech mogul's daughter cried, clapping her hands. The politician's daughter smirked, her racket twirling. "Good luck, gym class girl," she taunted. The live stream comments increased dramatically. She was in a precarious position, a failed hashed wager. Her ponytail moved gently, her hazel eyes focused intently on her opponent. Her quiet demeanor spoke louder than their taunts. Nobody knew her history, neither the spectators, nor her opponent, nor even the livestream audience. At 19, she had been a promising tennis player, her serves reaching 120, her footwork demonstrating exceptional grace. She had secured a full-ride scholarship to Yale, her reputation known in professional circles. A closed-door exhibition match 5 years prior saw her decisively defeat her opponent, 6-2, a loss the politician's family subsequently obscured using their influence. However, she relinquished tennis when her mother received a terminal cancer diagnosis, dedicating her time to being at a hospital bedside, comforting her mother during chemotherapy instead of pursuing championships. Her mother's passing instilled in her a subdued resilience, a fire smoldering beneath her composed demeanor. Now, she stood on Avalon's clay, her faded sneakers planted firmly, her heart a furnace poised to ignite. The match commenced, a silent duel unfolding under the alpine sun, without a referee's call, just the two women on the red clay. The ranked player served initially, her ball a missile, but the newcomer returned it with an ace that delicately kissed the baseline, unreturnable. The crowd gasped, their phones trembling. Game 1, 1-2. Her second serve was a very gentle drop shot, spinning just past her opponent's reach, her racket swinging wildly. Game 2, 2-0. The opponent's face became tense, her confidence weakening, her shots becoming less accurate. The newcomer's movement was graceful, her backhand cutting the clay sharply. Game 3, 3-0. The bleachers grew quiet, their laughter fading, their bets falling apart. The opponent's coach stood motionless, his smile gone, his clipboard unnoticed. The live stream gained immense popularity. Is this really happening? She's incredible. Her serves became more precise, her eyes focused intently on the ball, her movements fluid with the court. Game 4 featured a cross-court forehand that left her opponent sprawling, her $10,000 dress stained with clay. Game 5 showcased an overhead smash that resonated like a gunshot, the ball speeding past a desperate lunge. The opponent appeared to be falling apart, her breaths ragged, her crystal-studded dress appearing less vibrant under the sun. The newcomer's worn sneakers moved gracefully, her generic polo shirt a subtle challenge to the established player's disapproval. Game 6 concluded with another ace, precise and decisive, the ball speeding down the line. The set finished in 11 minutes, 6-0, the scoreboard vividly displaying her dominance. The stands were silent, the elite's derision absent, their phones ignored. The opponent remained motionless, her racket slack, her standing diminished. The live stream comments increased rapidly. She defeated her, resembling an Avalon goddess. Her father cried into his phone, immense pride radiating as his daughter regained her rightful place. The audience was utterly silent, the previous taunts a painful recollection. She positioned herself at the net, her hazel eyes scanning the bleachers, her long ponytail remaining still in the wind. Her opponent appeared drained, her hands shaking, her ranking insignificant compared to the perfect game. The tech mogul's daughter's $14,000 racket remained unused, her wagers a humiliating spectacle. The hedge fund heir's sunglasses couldn't hide his shock, his cliques slinking away, their laughter now a liability. The bank CEO's wife gripped her Hermes clutch, her husband's influence offering no protection against the whispers. She mocked the wrong woman. The model's phone buzzed with notifications of canceled gigs, her socialite status diminishing. The live stream became a global trend, with Claire and Ren dominating social media, her 6-0 victory appearing increasingly improbable. The audience felt a surge of emotion, their anger shifting to wonder, her victory a symbol of hope for those often overlooked. A helicopter's blades sliced through the air, the sound breaking the quiet like a sudden burst of thunder. It touched down on the helipad adjacent to the estate. The sleek black frame gleamed, its doors opening to reveal Claire's husband, the founder of Avalon, majority shareholder in 50 European resorts, and a Forbes-listed billionaire at 30. His tailored gray coat caught the wind, his dark hair swept back, his blue eyes sharp as glaciers. He strode across the clay, his presence a force that hushed the crowd and walked straight to Claire. He took her hand, kissed her forehead, and spoke, his voice low but resonant, carrying to the bleachers, "I'm sorry, love. They treated you like that, didn't they?" The grandstands imploded into stunned silence. The opponent went ghost white, her racket slipping to the clay. The bank CEO's wife's clutch hit the ground, her face ashen. The live stream captured the moment, comments flooding in. "She's his wife? Had power couple." The audience erupted, their hearts pounding as the truth struck with great force. As the billionaire's words registered, he faced the bleachers, his blue eyes radiating a controlled anger. "This estate is mine," he stated, his voice sharp and clear. "And you dared to insult my wife, Claire Wren, a woman more valuable than every diamond here," he said, gesturing towards the politician's daughter, his gaze unwavering. "You manipulated this court with your pride, and now you will face the consequences." He retrieved his phone, showing contracts terminated, sponsorships withdrawn, and memberships canceled. "You are prohibited from every resort I own," he stated, his words carrying immense finality. The opponent's knees gave way, her empire collapsing, her family's influence rendered insignificant. The audience reacted with shock, the guilty appearing smaller, their standing diminishing under his authority. The live stream surged with activity, displaying the tags "Justice, Wren Rules." Claire stood near him, her unbranded polo shirt appearing prominent, her triumph assured by his power. The audience erupted in cheers, their spirits lifted as his power subdued the elite's harshness. Claire remained still, her hazel eyes gleaming, her simple ponytail a subtle adornment. The defeated opponent, visibly shaken, advanced, her voice a fragile murmur. "I'll clean your shoes," she faltered, reaching for Claire's sneakers, her gaze fixed on the ground. Claire dismissed her with a gentle gesture, her expression calm, her voice tender yet resolute. "I don't require it," she stated, "I simply wished for you to understand." The crowd shifted, their heads lowered, the memory of their prior harshness a burden they couldn't release. Her husband advanced, his voice sharp and clear, broadcast widely through the live stream. "My wife does not require expensive labels to validate her value," he stated, his blue eyes moving across the stands. "But you must learn proper conduct before returning to my arena." He then addressed the opponent, his gaze cold. "You have been defeated, and you are aware of the conditions. Lower your head and depart Avalon, without return." The downfall of the elite was rapid and uncompromising, their confidence broken by the billionaire's direction. The opponent's shoulders drooped, her crystal-studded dress appearing lackluster in the diminishing light. She lowered her head, a solitary wavering gesture. Her pride faltered as she departed the court, her steps burdened, her career in ruins. The bank CEO's wife retreated to the lounge, her mink coat offering no protection from the murmurs. She made disparaging remarks about Wren's wife. The hedge fund heir's sunglasses failed to conceal his embarrassment. His associates shunned his calls, and his investments became a widely publicized failure. The tech mogul's daughter's influence in high society diminished, her $14,000 enterprise remaining unaffected as her backers withdrew their support. The model's career in modeling ended abruptly, her viral ridicule proving to be a critical error. The coach faced a ban from Avalon, his Rolex holding no value, his reputation fading. The live stream gained worldwide recognition, Claire Wren becoming a global sensation, her 6-0 set now a legendary moment. The crowd's excitement resonated deeply, their frustration shifting to admiration. Claire's triumph, and her husband's fury, consumed the elite's harshness. Her opponent's posture fell, her crystal-studded dress appearing lackluster in the waning light. She lowered her head in a brief, unsteady gesture, her confidence broken, and left the court, her steps weighed down, her career seemingly ruined. The Avalon roster was revised within the hour, her name removed, her third-ranked position relegated to a brief mention. The bank CEO's wife retreated to the lounge, her mink coat offering no protection from the hushed rumors. She made disparaging remarks about Wren's wife. The hedge fund heir's hedge fund suffered significant losses, his investments exposed and humiliating, his associates ignoring his calls. The tech mogul's daughter's social media influence diminished, her $14,000 business remaining unaffected, but her sponsors withdrawing support. The model's career in modeling ended abruptly, her widespread ridicule proving disastrous. The coach was prohibited from Avalon, his Rolex seeming insignificant, his standing destroyed. The live stream became a global phenomenon, Claire Wren dominating social media, her 6-0 set establishing a legendary moment. The established hierarchy was disrupted, their exclusivity exposed as a false narrative. A previously unheard young player approached Claire, her voice filled with emotion. "I was mistaken to laugh," she stated, her eyes bright. "You represent what this court ought to be." Others concurred, their applause growing, a wave of respect overpowering their earlier disdain. The live stream documented the change, with comments pouring in. "She fundamentally altered the landscape." Claire elicited admiration, the assembled coaches showing their respect, one remarking, "You could have been world number one." Claire's unbranded polo shirt shone in the sunlight, her worn sneakers a symbol of her resilience. Her husband's hand gently touched hers, his pride expressed as a quiet promise. The estate's leaderboard displayed the results. Claire Wren, 6-0 Vivian Corbin. The audience felt a surge of emotion, their frustration now acknowledged, Claire's victory igniting a transformative force for Avalon's spirit. Her husband drew Claire near, his hand gently supporting her cheek, his voice hushed, intended just for her. "You were always the champion," he said, his blue eyes filled with warmth. Claire smiled, her hazel eyes tender, her simple ponytail a subtle adornment. The court's gates appeared broader, its spirit transformed by a woman who had navigated derision and appeared invincible. The live stream recorded their embrace, with messages rapidly appearing. "She's a queen," wrote Julian and Claire. Those who previously dismissed her were now dispersed, their established positions wavering, their pride a diminishing memory. Claire's victory extended beyond a single competition. It represented a deserved consequence, demonstrating that skill and passion surpass affluence. Her father, observing via his phone, smiled through tears, his daughter's reputation now a symbol of hope for those often disregarded. 3 days elapsed before a video of Claire's match gained widespread popularity online, accompanied by the message, "Never underestimate a woman in canvas sneakers." The online community responded with enthusiastic discussion. Claire Run was trending globally, and her 6-0 set became a legendary story that resonated far beyond the Alps. Her husband and Claire were together, their hands clasped, their love a gentle but powerful force, exceeding the brilliance of the elite's diamonds. She arrived as an unknown, her unbranded polo shirt marking her as an outsider, but she departed as a legend, not due to victory, but because of her unwavering integrity. Avalon was no longer a sanctuary for the elite, it belonged to her, a testament to a woman who compelled the aristocracy to acknowledge her with a used racket and an unyielding spirit. Please enjoy more stories like this. Share your thoughts in the comments. Would you have accepted that bet? The moment she entered the publishing office, she was dismissed. Her coat was a frayed wool, her shoes worn, and she held a thick manuscript bound with tape, the pages already yellowing. The receptionist scrutinized her, raising an eyebrow as if detecting an unpleasant odor. "You're here to submit a story? Handwritten?" An editor, with slicked-back hair, barely glanced at the title before laughing. "A boy wizard living under the stairs? This seems like a low-budget Tolkien adaptation." The room erupted in laughter. A staffer even picked up the manuscript, displayed it, and quipped, "Another legend, handwritten, ideal for the recycling bin." Then they threw it directly in front of her. Emily knelt, recovered her manuscript, carefully smoothed a torn corner, and turned away, refusing to lower her head. She offered only a small nod, as if they were the ones being turned down. They simply didn't understand. What they discarded would become a literary phenomenon for an entire generation. And the woman they just mocked would reshape the world. Emily Brooks resided in a small flat above a bustling chip shop in London, a dwelling characterized by the scent of grease, and a radiator that rattled like it was performing for a horror film. She was 31, a single mother to a 6-year-old daughter Lily, who slept on a mattress in the corner while Emily wrote at a shaky kitchen table. Each day began at dawn, balancing toast and crayons for Lily, followed by a quick trip to drop her off at school before going to the cafe close to King's Cross Station. The cafe was a somewhat run-down establishment with greasy food, chipped mugs, and a jukebox that had been broken since the 90s. Despite its appearance, it served as her sanctuary. There, in a corner booth, she would open her notebook and write, her pen creating a world where a boy named Harry Potter lived under a staircase, dreaming of magic. Her attire was unassuming, a pale sweater, a skirt mended at the bottom, shoes so dilapidated that the soles detached during rain. Her dark hair was frequently disheveled, secured with a rubber band, with strands escaping as if possessing a will of their own. She remained indifferent. She wasn't writing to gain recognition. She was writing for Lily, for herself, for the children she observed at the library who possessed only stories to find solace in. The manuscript, Harry Porter and the Glass Owl, represented her deepest emotions, a story of a boy who was overlooked, who discovered magic in a world that disregarded him, who ultimately chose to believe in himself. Each word was meticulously handwritten, each page a testament to her dedication, with pages taped together after the binding failed. Emily submitted it to 12 publishers. She had spent her remaining £20 on postage, carefully wrapping each copy in brown paper, her hands trembling as she closed the envelopes. She hadn't anticipated a positive response, merely an opportunity, but the rejections arrived quickly, each one sharply disappointing. Do not attempt to write fantasy if you lack understanding of the world, one letter stated, bearing the signature of a senior editor at Crownwell Press, Martin Hale. A woman writing magic? No thank you, another declared, the words written in red ink by a junior editor named Clara Voss. A note, this tone belongs in a child's after-school diary, not a bookstore, came from someone at Regent House. It was written by Simon Trent, a literary agent. His name was stamped in gold on the letterhead. Emily read each one quietly, keeping her face calm. Then she put them away in a drawer. She didn't cry. She returned to the cafe and continued writing. While at a local bookshop where Emily occasionally looked at books, she overheard a literary scout from Pinnacle Books, Clara Voss, talking with the owner. You won't believe the audacity of this woman, Clara stated, her voice laced with disdain. Some single mom, appearing disheveled, believes she's created wizardry. I instructed my team to discard it to prevent it from consuming more space. The owner laughed, briefly looking at Emily, who was examining a used paperback nearby, oblivious to being discussed. Likely another sentimental narrative seeking sympathy, he remarked, speaking loudly enough for her to overhear. A customer interjected, a smirk playing on his face. What's she going to do? Cast a spell to get published? The others chuckled, glances darting towards Emily's worn skirt and unkempt hair. She remained looking down, her fingers following the book's spine, but the atmosphere shifted, their comments a burden she carried as she returned to her cafe booth. Her pen wavered a little as she wrote, yet she persisted. Her story would be her reply. Emily was seated in her cafe booth on a rainy afternoon, her notebook open, when a group of publishing interns from Regent House entered, their laughter echoing through the space. One noticed her and nudged his friends, saying, "Look, it's the wizard lady, still writing her kitty stories." He approached her, peering at her pages and asking, "What's this? Harry, what's it? Gonna make you rich, huh, love?" His friends laughed, and one mimicked her pen strokes with exaggerated flourishes. "Bet she thinks bookstores are begging for this drivel," another remarked, speaking loud enough for other patrons to hear. A waitress, joining in the derision, placed Emily's coffee down with force, adding, "Dreamers like you clog up the place." The interns quickly took a selfie with her visible in the background and posted it online with the caption, "Hatch Fantasy Fail. Single mom's sad hobby." Emily's hand paused, ink smudging slightly, but her face remained composed, her gaze fixed on the page. The cafe felt smaller, their unkindness a storm she endured quietly, her story her only support. The most difficult experience came from Crownwell Press. Emily had found the strength to hand-deliver her manuscript in person, hoping a direct meeting might influence them. She stood in their modern office, all glass and chrome, holding her pages. Martin Hale, the editor who had rejected her by mail, was present, accompanied by assistants. He glanced at her worn coat and smirked. An unfamiliar woman, appearing like a housewife, who believes she's crafting the next mythology. Absurd. He didn't bother to open the manuscript. Instead, he raised it with 2 fingers, as if it were unclean, and dropped it into a recycling bin. His assistants chuckled, one saying, "Back to the kitchen, love." Emily crouched, recovered her pages, and departed silently. Her quietness wasn't surrender, It was resistance, a pledge to her story. Leaving Crownwell Press, Emily held her manuscript securely. A group of assistants trailed her to the elevator, their laughter bouncing off the hallway walls. One, a young woman wearing a designer scarf, remarked, "Hey housewife, perhaps stick to knitting next time. Writing is best left to the professionals." Another playfully imitated her walk, emphasizing the movement of her worn shoes, while a third took a photograph and shared it online with the caption, "Delusional wannabe attempts to enter the publishing world epic fail." The elevator doors shut, but their laughter persisted, clear and unwavering. Emily stood within, her reflection barely visible on the metallic surfaces, her expression calm but her fingers pressed tightly around her papers. Outside, a person on the sidewalk recognized her from the online post and gestured, saying to a companion, "That's the woman who believed she could create a bestseller." The urban environment appeared to taunt her, each look a reminder of her disappointment. Still, she continued walking, her quietness a defense, her narrative complete. Following the receipt of another rejection notice, Emily went to Pinnacle Books to make her appeal, her manuscript held securely. Clara Voss greeted her in the entrance hall, her red heels striking the floor with a sharp sound. "You again?" Clara said sharply, observing Emily's mended sweater. "I told you nobody desires your small magic story." She summoned coworkers, her tone derisive. "This is the one who believes she's the upcoming sensation, a single mother with a fairy tale." Laughter filled the air. One assistant discarded a crumpled coffee cup towards a bin close to Emily, and smiled when it brushed her arm. "Oops, thought you'd catch it with a spell," he remarked, winking at Clara. A security guard who overheard joined in, saying, "Time to go, lady, don't waste their time." Clara dismissed him with a wave, already turning away. "Stick to raising your kid, not writing flops," she called out, her words reverberating through the lobby with the sound of snickers. Emily departed, her gait resolute, her manuscript intact, yet the impact of their remarks lingered, a chilling dampness. Several months elapsed, and Emily's finances decreased. She reduced her food intake to purchase Lily new shoes, while her own coat became increasingly worn as winter's chill intensified. She was nearing the end of her resources when a letter arrived from Willow Tree Press, a small publisher struggling to stay afloat in a basement office. The owner, Margaret Cole, was direct. "The situation is precarious. Your book presents a risk, but I find it promising. We'll print 1,000 copies. Conditional on using initials, ensuring anonymity. No one should know the author is a woman." Emily paused, her pen poised over the contract. She was reluctant to conceal her identity, but Lily needed school supplies, and the flat's rent was overdue. She signed as E.J. Brooks. Harry Potter and the Glass Owl was released in June, a subtle distribution in a few London bookshops. The cover was simple, just a drawing of an owl with glass wings, the title in a small font, understated and without promotion. Emily didn't anticipate much. She continued working, taking shifts at a laundromat to make ends meet, writing at the cafe when she had time. However, then something changed. A public school in Leeds sent her a letter, handwritten by a teacher named Ms. Patel. It read, "We read your book to our class. The children haven't stopped discussing Harry. They cried when he found the glass owl. Thank you." Emily clutched the letter, her throat constricted, and placed it with her other rejection notices. When Harry Potter and the Glass Owl was initially released, it was a quiet debut amidst a flurry of well-established titles. However, it quickly gained momentum. A bookshop in Glasgow organized a reading, and children filled the space, captivated as Harry confronted the Shadow Veil. Parents shared accounts of nightly readings, their voices hushed with wonder. "My daughter hadn't engaged with a book in years. Now she refuses to put Harry Potter and the Glass Owl down." By August, London's biggest bookstore saw a line extending out the door, with children holding copies and reciting Harry's spells as if they were a hidden language. A video that became widely shared online featured a boy in Sydney imitating the glass owl's flight, his cardboard wings flapping energetically. News publications described it as a sensation arising unexpectedly. Emily's World, Hogwarts's candlelit halls, the owl's shimmering prophecy, was more than just a story. It provided a sense of belonging for those often disregarded. The book gained widespread recognition, each copy reflecting her unwavering spirit. The audience responded with enthusiastic applause, acknowledging the world's discovery of her. News of the book's popularity quickly circulated. A teacher in Manchester read excerpts aloud, and her students created drawings of Harry's wand, affixing them to their desks. A librarian in Bristol placed an order for 10 additional copies following disputes among children vying for the sole existing copy. A blogger, identified as Katie, a young person, shared a quote online. "The boy who wasn't chosen, chose himself." It received 100 likes, then 1,000, then 10,000. By September, bookshops were unable to maintain sufficient inventory. Parents described it as magical. Children claimed it as their own. A photograph circulated widely online, depicting a girl in a hospital bed clutching Harry Potter, smiling for the first time in weeks. Emily viewed it on a library computer and wiped her eyes, her heart full. By autumn, Harry Potter and the Glass Owl was no longer simply a book, it was a cultural phenomenon. Schools throughout Britain designated it required reading. Researchers observed a remarkable shift. Children who previously showed little interest in reading eagerly finished Harry's story. A Paris library reported wait lists extending for months, with teenagers drawing the Glass Owl in their notebooks. In Chicago, a community center hosted a themed event, where families dressed as wizards, their laughter resonating through the streets. Social media platforms were filled with shared quotes. "The boy who was not initially selected ultimately asserted himself." Artwork appeared on bedroom walls, and phrases were permanently marked on wrists. A Tokyo newsstand sold out within hours. The clerk remarked, "It's like Harry is real." Emily's narrative had cast a spell, its influence extending across borders, giving a voice to those who were unheard. Bookstores requested additional printings, their shelves emptied, as readers sent a large number of letters to Willow Tree Press. Demands for more Harry were constant. The world wasn't simply reading, it was experiencing her dream, and the audience felt each triumph personally. 3 months following its release, the book became incredibly popular. It reached the bestseller lists initially in the UK, then in America and subsequently in Japan. News outlets proclaimed headlines, with considerable intrigue surrounding author E.J. Brooks's reimagining of fantasy. Bookstores experienced sellout conditions, placing reprint orders numbering in the thousands. Willow Tree Press, rescued from bankruptcy, relocated to a more suitable office. Margaret Cole contacted Emily, her voice trembling, stating, "We're printing 1 million copies." "1 million? Who are you?" Emily chuckled quietly, still wearing her worn coat, replying, "Just a mom who enjoys telling stories." As winter approached, Harry Potter and the Glass Owl became a source of hope. Marketers and deli shops organized midnight releases, with children chanting Harry's name under lantern light. A Brazilian orphanage shared a story of children pooling coins to purchase a shared copy, reading by flashlight after curfew. Numerous fan letters were sent to Willow Tree Press, including drawings of Hogwarts, poems about the Glass Owl, and stories of overcoming bullies, inspired by Harry. A London theater adapted the story, selling out weeks in advance, with the audience weeping as Harry's wand lit the stage. Critics who initially dismissed the work now acknowledged its merit, with one reviewer stating that Brooks had created a myth possessing an enduring quality. The book's impact extended beyond the written word, inspiring bravery and igniting imaginations. From Moscow to Mexico City, readers displayed owl pins, a subtle reference to Emily's universe. Her narrative overcame skepticism, its popularity a recognition she did not actively pursue, and the audience reveled in its brilliance. The National Literary Gala, the publishing world's equivalent of the Oscars, took place at the Savoy Hotel, filled with crystal chandeliers and formal black tie attire. Emily received an invitation, not as a typical attendee, but as the guest of honor. She nearly declined to attend. Lily was suffering from a cold, and the train ticket to central London was costly, but Margaret urged her to go, sending a ticket and a note that read, "You deserve this." Emily chose to wear a plain linen dress, pale blue in color, which she had purchased from a charity shop for a $5. The shoes were the familiar, well-worn pair, her hair loose and slightly disheveled. She carried her notebook, prepared for any sudden inspiration during the train ride. The gala presented a spectacle of tailored suits and glittering gowns, the atmosphere heavy with champagne and self-importance. Emily entered discreetly, her invitation clutched firmly, initially unnoticed by the attendees. She positioned herself near a pillar, observing editors and agents exchange greetings, their laughter reminiscent of the Crownwell office. Martin Hale was present, networking while holding a glass of whiskey, his slicked-back hair reflecting the light. Clara Voss, representing Pinnacle Books, commanded attention in a red dress, casually dismissing a waiter with a gesture. Simon Trent, the Regent House agent, spoke proudly of his newest acquisition, his voice audible above the general conversation. They did not notice Emily as she passed, her linen dress seeming understated amidst their elegant attire. She greeted several publishers with a handshake, her grip steady but kind. Martin Hale casually touched her hand, his gaze already searching for someone of greater significance. He offered a greeting, stating, "Nice to meet you," without inquiring about her name, and concluded with, "Enjoy the evening." Clara Voss responded with a strained smile, quietly remarking to an assistant, "Who's that? Some blogger?" Simon Trent remained engrossed in his phone, not acknowledging her at all. Emily offered a courteous nod, her expression calm, and proceeded. She didn't require their validation. She had come for the children who adored Harry, for Lily, for the narrative that continued to endure. A palpable excitement filled the room as the host, a BBC presenter known for his smooth delivery, stepped onto the stage. "Tonight, we celebrate the literary world's most accomplished talents," he began, his smile radiant. But he continued, noting that one name had eclipsed all others. A debut novel, published under initials, had resonated with readers worldwide. It had revolutionized storytelling, provided children with a role model, and rescued a publisher from financial hardship. The audience shifted expectantly, murmuring, "Could it possibly be E.J. Brooks? Here?" Martin Hale straightened his tie, a smirk directed at Clara Voss. "Likely an Oxbridge graduate pretending to be modest," he remarked. Clara acknowledged him with a roll of her eyes. The host's voice increased in volume. "Please welcome the author of the decade's best-selling novel, the woman who created an entire world for millions of children, Emily Brooks." The ballroom became still. Glasses tapped, breathing paused. Emily advanced, her linen dress reflecting the light, her well-worn shoes making no sound on the polished floor. Strands of hair remained tangled, and her notebook was held beneath her arm. Yet, her eyes, steady, warm, and resolute, commanded the attention of everyone present. She ascended the stage, each step carefully placed, as if Hogwarts itself provided support. Martin Hale's whiskey spilled from his hand, staining his shoes. Clara Voss's red dress appeared to constrict, her face losing color. Simon Trent's phone fell onto the table, his earlier claim overlooked. The audience was quiet, a multitude of astonished expressions as Emily arrived at the podium. She placed her notebook down, her fingers lightly touching the aged cover, and gazed out at the room. When she spoke, her voice was distinct and measured, resembling an incantation being spoken. "You dismissed the story before you proceeded to the next page. Now the entire world is reading it." The room fell silent. Emily did not elevate her tone, nor did she direct accusations. She found no need to. Her words resonated as undeniable truths, precise and absolute. "I wrote Harry Potter and the Glass Owl for my daughter, for children who feel invisible, for anyone who's ever been told they're not enough. You didn't see it, you didn't have to. The children did, they found Harry and he found them." She paused, her gaze sweeping the front row. Martin, Clara, Simon, all frozen. "This isn't about me, it's about a boy who chose himself, and the millions who chose him back." As Emily spoke from the gala stage, the crowd's silence broke into murmurs of awe. A children's librarian, positioned towards the rear, was the first to rise, applauding with great enthusiasm. "My students read Harry Potter nightly," she exclaimed, her voice filled with emotion. "They've begun writing their own stories thanks to you." The room shifted, faces expressing surprise, as others echoed her sentiment. A bookseller who had exhausted their stock in a few hours, and a parent whose previously timid son now embodied Harry's bravery. Emily's narrative had created a world so detailed it felt tangible, Harry's wand flickering under starlight, the glass owl's wings gleaming with mysteries. Her ability wasn't merely proficiency, it was transformation, converting sorrow into optimism. The applause intensified, a surge of admiration, as publishers who had disregarded her now rapidly wrote her name down, recognizing they had overlooked a brilliant talent. Emily remained there, her linen dress a focal point, her understated resilience more impactful than their applause. The applause began gradually, a gentle undulation that built into a powerful surge, shaking the chandeliers. It was more than mere courtesy, it was heartfelt and genuine. Emily moved from the stage, her dress flowing, and returned to her position beside the pillar. Behind the curtain, the gala was filled with discussion of Harry Potter and the Glass Owl. A critic, standing close to the bar, who had previously expressed doubts, confessed, "I read it last week and couldn't stop reading it." He continued, "The way Harry confronts the shadow veil. It's not just a story, it's a reflection for every child who's experienced feelings of isolation." A young author held her signed copy, telling a friend, "It's as if Emily understood my childhood, the bullies, the dreams, and transformed them into something magical." The book's world felt vibrant, Hogwarts halls resounding with spells, the Glass Owl's prophecy permeating every page, children in Tokyo dressed as Harry for Halloween, parents in New York reading it aloud, their voices breaking at the conclusion. Its language had initiated book clubs, inspired fan art, and even led to a school play in Dublin. Emily's story resonated deeply, its enchantment touching hearts across the globe. Attendees noticed her near the pillar, transformed from an unknown individual into an author whose writing had reshaped perception. During the gala, while Emily stood by her pillar, the book's reputation intensified. A bookseller confided in a critic, speaking with conviction, "I've sold thousands of books, but Harry Potter, it's truly exceptional. Children read it as if it were essential." On the other side of the room, a teacher described how her class constructed a cardboard Hogwarts, their faces glowing with pride. Enthusiasts had started a worldwide campaign, Read Like Harry, prompting libraries to increase their fantasy selections for children. Passages from the book, such as Harry's duel with the Frostwraith and the Owl's whispered prophecy, were recited in classrooms, cafes, and even parliaments. A UN delegate confessed it influenced her speech on hope. Emily's impact resonated far beyond recognition. It was a transformative power, redefining perspectives on courage, loss, and love. From Cape Town, readers shared videos, celebrating with dances to Harry's theme, while New York's Times Square displayed the book's cover. The murmurings of the audience shifted to awe, their gaze fixed on Emily, now perceived as a mythmaker in a linen dress, her triumph a shared global victory. The host struggled to proceed, but their words fell on deaf ears. Attention remained on Emily, whispers circulating. "Is that her? She's E.J. Brooks? She authored that book?" Martin Hale slumped into his chair, his face ashen. Clara Voss held her clutch tightly, her smile vanished. Simon Trent looked at his phone, as if willing the moment to disappear. By morning, the consequences arrived quickly. Crownwell Press, Martin Hale's source of pride, encountered a public relations crisis. Blogs resurrected the recycling bin incident, and readers overwhelmed social media. Crownwell passed on Harry Potter.
Bileyim hale.
The board reduced his position to junior editor, his office relocated to a cubicle. The reputation of Clara Voss's pinnacle books suffered a significant blow when a leaked email revealed her no women note. Authors departed, and her newest fantasy series failed, derisively labeled No Magic Here. Simon Trent's agency experienced a loss of clients following his boast about dismissing Emily's diary entries. His letterhead, embossed in gold, held no value now. His workspace was covered with manuscripts that hadn't sold. The publishing world reacted as Emily's triumph became apparent. Simon Trent, the agent who had previously dismissed Emily's diary entries, observed his agency collapse swiftly. Prominent authors distanced themselves, pointing to his perceived lack of foresight, as bookstores declined to stock his clients' titles, prioritizing displays for Harry Potter. His gold-stamped letterhead became a target for online ridicule. with memes labeling it the man who missed magic. Clara Voss's professional life suffered a dramatic downturn following the viral spread of her No Women email. Pinnacle's share price decreased significantly, leading to her reassignment to editing cookbooks, her red dress now a source of regret. Even Martin Hale's reduction in role caused considerable distress. Rumors circulated among his colleagues regarding his mistake, and his electronic correspondence was flooded with negative feedback from readers. They had discarded Harry. Their pride had resulted in complete loss, their identities now minor references in Emily's celebrated story. Applause erupted as online platforms declared her the sovereign writer who crafted narratives with simplicity and honesty. Emily ignored the commotion. She was at the cafe, working on the next installment, her writing instrument moving while Lily played nearby. Willow Tree Press sent her a royalty payment. The prize provided enough for a larger apartment, a suitable bed for Lily, and a fresh notebook. She remained composed, silent in her triumph, and simply wrote, her story proving more resilient than their criticism. The world embraced Harry Porter, and Emily Brooks, the individual once dismissed as insignificant, evolved into a celebrated figure. This demonstrates the strength of a narrative that refuses to be silenced. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, comment, and subscribe for more content. She experienced humiliation and was even detained directly within the VIP terminal of Rosebridge Airport. Dressed in an old hoodie and worn-out sneakers, she appeared strikingly ordinary amidst a waiting lounge filled with Italian suits and platinum-tier memberships. This type of passenger doesn't typically travel on a private jet, a security officer stated coldly. She was held, under scrutinizing glances, until the private jet of her billionaire husband arrived. Rosebridge Jet Terminal presented an image of immense wealth, with its polished marble floors reflecting the light of expensive chandeliers, and its tarmac accommodating Gulfstreams and Louis Vuitton suitcases. This exclusive airport, where sapphire membership cards held greater significance than passports, resonated with the presence of tailored Armani suits, Louboutin heels, and the aroma of Tom Ford oud. The VIP lounge, designed as a lavish space of glass and velvet, catered exclusively to a select clientele, with staff in silk vests verifying access via platinum keycards. Past the lounge area, a private runway extended, its entrances secured for the wealthiest individuals. Claire Sutton entered the terminal, wearing a casual gray hoodie, faded sweatpants, and worn sneakers that made a soft sound on the marble flooring. At 30 years old, having grown up in a small, unassuming town, she had independently studied aerospace engineering while working as a mechanic, her life straightforward until she encountered Noah Sutton, the individual responsible for establishing Sutton Aerospace as a worldwide leader. A book and a water bottle were inside the small backpack she carried, her only belongings following a connecting domestic flight. The lounge's stairs seemed to divide her, as if sensing an approaching storm. Claire felt like an imperfection in the terminal's gleaming appearance, her backpack a disruption to the exclusive environment. A security officer, Victor Hayes, moved toward her, his navy uniform immaculate, his badge shining. "This lounge is exclusively for private jet passengers," he stated, his voice drawing attention. A lounge attendant, wearing a $2,000 Gucci blazer, chuckled, bending towards their colleague. They likely gained entry searching for employment. Amusement spread through the lounge, passengers concealing smiles with perfectly shaped hands. Claire remained still, her hazel eyes fixed, her backpack over one shoulder. She had come to meet Noah, the man whose empire she'd secretly assisted in creating. A wave of frustration rippled through the onlookers, their emotions tightening at the dismissive behavior of these officials, their contempt a sharp contrast to Claire's gentle demeanor. The jeering grew louder, a harsh sound led by the terminal's influential members. Vanessa Klein, the lounge manager, stepped forward, her platinum blonde hair flowing over a form-fitting Versace dress, her red lipstick a vivid accent to her cool expression. At 29 years old, having grown up in Miami's affluent circles, she was known for maintaining strict standards of admittance. Claire's hoodie earned a scoff. "We're unable to verify your identity or your reason for being in the high-security zone," the officer stated, her voice crisp and firm. The passengers responded with laughter that reverberated against the glass walls. Vanessa, with a flick of her hair, released a cloud of Chanel perfume, a fragrance Claire knew Noah found unpleasant. Claire's fingers gripped her backpack, her expression composed, while the audience's anger escalated, their hearts racing at this direct challenge, Vanessa's confidence appearing sharp and cold. The criticism intensified, becoming a deliberate and unified attack on Claire's presence. Victor Hayes approached, his badge reflecting light, and indicated a side door. "Your baggage has not cleared VIP screening," he stated, his voice steady but not unkind. "Please proceed to the holding area for those suspected of making false statements." The crowd applauded, their Rolexes catching the light as they gestured for her to leave. A passenger wearing a $6,000 Brioni suit exclaimed, "You don't seem like someone who owns a private jet ticket." Amusement rippled through the group, with passengers bumping shoulders. A receptionist whispered, "She doesn't appear to be a tourist." Another commented, "That hoodie looks like it could be stolen, and she has the nerve to enter here?" The remarks felt like a heavy blow, each word a painful strike against Claire's quietness. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts aching for Claire, deeply upset by this group's persistent harshness. The travelers' disdain became sharp as Claire stood in the VIP lounge, their taunts a deliberate attack intended to undermine her resolve. Several technology leaders in $8,000 Seville Row suits assembled close to the velvet sofas, their words a spiteful blend. "She's a mark on Rosebridge's reputation," one remarked, gesturing with a platinum fountain pen in Claire's direction, highlighting her worn sneakers. Returning to the budget terminal, one individual brandished a black Amex card, exclaiming, "Her backpack appears to be from a flea market." The audience's laughter was loud, employees glancing at each other, their Rolexes reflecting the light. A private equity mogul declared, "She's an insult to every jet parked here." The jeers felt like a severe judgment, each word a sharp blow against Claire's composed demeanor. Noah's jet was visible on the tarmac beyond the glass, but the lounge's disapproval felt intensely heavy. The audience's anger escalated, their hearts racing, indignant at this planned injustice, their fury intense and ready to challenge the elite's pride. The staff's involvement aggravated the situation, their actions a new disappointment. A receptionist, Clara Holt, wearing a tailored blazer, approached, her voice laced with disdain. "Miss, the general terminal is that way," she stated, gesturing towards a concealed door, her smirk reflected by surrounding passengers. "We don't allow such guests in the VIP lounge," she added, which drew laughter from the group. Clara, 26 years old and raised in New Jersey, took pride in her role as a gatekeeper. The group's approval felt like a powerful current, their arrogance a very public rejection. Claire held her backpack, her hazel eyes unwavering, but the lounge's disapproval felt intensely heavy. The audience's anger surged, their hearts racing at this form of institutional rejection, their fury burning against Rosebridge's sanctity. Vanessa Klein's criticism became pointed, a deliberate attempt to embarrass Claire in front of the lounge's most distinguished members. "You're not just out of place, you're a source of embarrassment," she stated, her Versace dress catching the light as she indicated Claire's sweatpants. Sutton Aerospace would not permit such behavior, she insisted, within their facilities. Her companions laughed, the sound punctuated by the clicking of their Mont Blanc pens, their gazes shifting to Claire's backpack. Vanessa remarked, "She's a charity case, not a jet passenger," her voice carrying enough volume to hush the surrounding quiet sounds. The passengers responded with approval, their disapproval feeling overwhelming, their hushed tones filled with discontent. "She's a fake," they muttered. Claire's hazel eyes glowed with contained anger, but her smile remained steady, a defense against the feeling of being let down. The pavement shimmered outside the windows, but the lounge's disapproval felt like a heavy burden. The audience's anger surged, their feelings of sorrow for Claire evident, fueled by the manager's deception revealed. The passengers' resentment reached a high point, their voices a harsh and bitter wave. A technology executive in a $5,000 Canali suit leaned forward, his voice sharp and dismissive. "She's insignificant, likely here seeking a passage," he remarked, pointing at Claire's sweatpants. "Observe that backpack. Did she retrieve it from a refuse container?" His associates chuckled, displaying their platinum cards. A socialite declared, "She's an embarrassment to whoever let her in." Laughter echoed, each insult a dagger aimed at Claire's heart. A woman standing close by with her daughter murmured, "She's likely someone's housekeeper." Her daughter chuckled, adding, "Or a stowaway." The audience's anger surged, their hearts with Claire, their fury a tidal wave against this malicious slander, desperate for the truth to shatter the elite's lies. The lounge staff's disapproval became obvious, their behavior a public embarrassment intended to entertain the other passengers. A senior concierge, Richard Tate, addressed Claire close to the glass reception desk, his silk vest immaculate, his tone condescending. "Miss, this lounge is exclusively for verified jet passengers," he stated, ensuring the surrounding people could hear. He indicated her hoodie with a gesture, his smirk echoed by the nearby employees. "Rosebridge rarely permits such straightforwardness," he stated, which elicited laughter from those present. The group's acceptance felt overwhelming, their confidence a stark display. Claire held her backpack, her hazel eyes steady, but the lounge's disapproval felt oppressive. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts racing at this perceived injustice, their fury burning against the terminal's integrity. Claire remained silent, her eyes dry, her arms holding her backpack, a plain bag containing the book she's read on her flight, a gift for Noah. She was led to the isolation room, a cold space of glass and steel, its walls mirroring the lounge luxury. The door closed behind her, with Victor Hayes standing watch, his badge representing her confinement. The passengers' murmurs followed her, their lies a suffocating tide. "She's a con artist." Claire's hazel eyes remained steady, her composure a quiet blaze. The audience's rage peaked, their hearts breaking for Claire, their fury a fire ready to consume the terminal's sanctity. The passengers' cruelty peaked as they spread vicious rumors, their voices a venomous storm echoing through the lounge. A hedge fund manager in a $9,000 Loro Piana suit leaned forward, his voice loud and cutting. He suggested she was a fraud, possibly having secured her place in the lounge through bribery, his friends agreeing, their cufflinks gleaming. Her marriage was also fabricated, simply a narrative to deceive Sutton. Another declared, raising his voice, "She's a con artist. Noah has been tricked." Derisive laughter erupted, each statement a painful blow to Claire. Employees shared falsehoods, their accusations multiplying rapidly. "She's after his wealth." Claire touched her backpack, maintaining a calm expression, though the group's malicious gossip felt overwhelming. The audience's anger surged, their feelings aligned with Claire, their outrage a powerful force seeking to expose the falsehoods of those in power. The sound of a jet engine broke the lounge's quiet atmosphere as a black Gulfstream G800 landed on the private runway, one of fewer than 20 such runways globally. The aircraft's polished exterior shone, its engines creating a loud noise that stopped the surrounding conversation. A VIP golf cart quickly moved towards the isolation zone, its tires squealing on the tarmac. Noah Sutton disembarked, his white shirt rolled up, his dark sunglasses glinting, projecting an aura of intensity. At 35, having grown up in Seattle, he had transformed Sutton Aerospace into a global empire, incorporating Rosebridge Jet Terminal through a corporate restructuring. He took off his sunglasses, revealing gray eyes as sharp as steel, and proceeded into the isolation room. "Why is my wife being held here?" His voice held no volume, yet it resonated with force. A wave of emotion rippled through the onlookers, their frustration giving way to expectation, Noah's revelation a beacon in the tension. Victor Hayes faltered, his official identification providing no protection. "I wasn't aware she—" Noah interrupted, his expression unwavering. "She has nothing to demonstrate. I am her confirmation of travel." The atmosphere became still, Vanessa Klein's Versace dress appearing deflated, her crimson lipstick a sharp contrast against her complexion. Noah opened the exit, approached Claire, and clasped her hand. "Are you weary?" he inquired, his voice gentle yet resolute. The aircraft was prepared. "Let's proceed." Claire smiled, her hazel eyes radiating warmth, her hoodie a subtle adornment. The travelers' cufflinks appeared less brilliant, their expressions strained with surprise. The crowd's sense of accomplishment grew, their hearts pounding as Noah's words altered the lounge's influence. Noah addressed the airport manager, his voice composed but firm. I intended to maintain my stake in Rosebridge for an additional 2 years, he stated, but today I have revised that decision. He hesitated, his gray eyes surveying the lounge. Detaining anyone for not wearing a suit in a gathering of those who believe themselves divine seemed inappropriate. Vanessa Klein recoiled, her Chanel perfume a sharp contrast to the situation. Noah's expression turned intense. I'm not merely the largest investor in this airport, I possess 70% ownership of Rosebridge Jet Terminal. A chill permeated the lounge. The receptionist almost dropped her iPad, and the head of security paled. The audience erupted, their anger shifting to astonishment as Noah's actions began to dismantle the deception that had restricted Claire. The repercussions were swift, a judgment conveyed without a sound. Noah addressed Victor Hayes, his voice sharp and decisive. You held the one I travel with, he stated, your time here is over, 5 minutes remaining. Victor's uniform seemed to shrink, his professional life collapsing. Noah then confronted Vanessa Klein, his gaze unwavering. Your department's screening procedures? Discontinued. Access is permanently denied to all Sutton Group locations. Vanessa's Versace dress offered no protection. Her standing served as a warning. Noah addressed Clara Holt, the receptionist. Your keycards have been disabled. Please clear your workspace. Clara appeared stunned, her role as gatekeeper now exposed. The onlooker's sense of disappointment shifted to jubilation, Claire's success affirmed by her husband's considerable influence. The isolation room felt dominated by Noah Sutton, his voice sharp and decisive, silencing the space enclosed by glass walls. You dared to detain Claire Sutton, the only soul worthy of this terminal, he declared, his gray eyes radiating a controlled fury. The validity of your badges, your protocols were irrelevant in the face of her truth. He presented a sleek tablet displaying a series of canceled agreements. Victor Hayes' security contracts, Vanessa Klein's management deals, and the staff's lounge privileges, all rescinded by Sutton Aerospace's board. Your names are removed from global aviation, he announced, his eyes focused on Victor. You have lost more than jobs, you have lost your futures. The audience reacted with shocked gasps, their empires collapsing under his direction. Claire stood beside him, her gray hoodie glowing, her triumph confirmed by Noah's consistent strength. The audience cheered, their spirits lifted as his worldwide justice defeated the elite's pride. Noah's gaze turned to the woman who had spoken, her daughter standing close behind. I heard you refer to her as a maid, he said, his voice slightly firm. I'll demonstrate the power even a so-called maid can possess, sufficient to result in your permanent membership cancellation. He retrieved his phone, activated it with a single button, and issued the command. The memberships of all individuals in Lounge 1A from the previous 2 hours were to be terminated. No justification was required. The socialite's platinum card became invalid, her standing negated. The tech mogul, who had previously ridiculed Claire's backpack, was led away, his agreements rescinded. Those passengers who had laughed concealed their Rolexes, their power diminished. The observers felt their hearts pound, their anger evolving into pride, Claire's victory shining brightly and humbling the lounge's prominent members. The downfall of the elite was a spectacle, their arrogance shattered under Noah's command. Vanessa Klein stumbled back, her Versace dress a mockery, her reputation a cautionary tale among the staff. Victor Hayes' badge was confiscated, his decades of service null, his escorts pushing him toward the service exit. Clara Holt's gatekeeping empire plummeted, her scorn a public wound, her belongings scattered. The hedge fund manager's deals collapsed, his slander exposed his lies. Those who'd flicked pens concealed their cufflinks, their memberships revoked. The staff who'd sneered were dismissed, their careers terminated. The socialite who'd whispered faced ostracism, her reputation diminished. Claire stood tall, her sneakers a subtle symbol of triumph, her hazel eyes unwavering. The audience's hearts resonated with emotion, their anger shifting to admiration. Claire's victory and Noah's anger shook the world's wealthiest in the terminal's esteemed halls. The terminal's hierarchy collapsed under Noah's direction. A thorough review revealed its deep-seated flaws. He addressed the airport's operations chief, his tone sharp and direct amidst the lounge's lavish surroundings. Your screening system is unacceptable, he stated, his gray eyes unwavering. Every procedure that caused distress to my wife is nullified, effective immediately. He activated his phone, and a wave of alerts flooded the staff's devices. Contracts terminated, permissions removed, entire departments dissolved. The socialite's daughter wept, her mother's membership a relic of a fallen empire. The tech mogul's jet remained on the tarmac, his influence non-existent. The receptionist who had laughed was escorted out, her iPad now inactive. Claire stood beside Noah, her backpack a silent declaration of her truth, her victory a bright spot in the terminal's fading light. The audience's hearts lifted, their anger shifting to triumph. Noah's fury a powerful force that washed away Rosebridge's arrogance. The details of Claire's history remained unknown, whether to the staff, Vanessa, or the passengers. When she was 20, she had rebuilt aircraft engines while studying late into the night, using her earnings to pay for textbooks. At 25, she encountered Noah at an aerospace expo, her understated intelligence captivating him amidst a crowd of showy personalities. Their marriage, a private ceremony on a Maine cliff, was founded on love, not financial resources. Vanessa's perfume, the staff's keycards, the passengers' suits, held no comparison to the resilience embodied by the backpack Claire carried. She now stood within the terminal, her rubber band a reminder of her integrity, her silence a consuming fire that exposed their deceit. Claire entered the Gulf Stream, still wearing her hoodie, holding Noah's hand. Her reflection appeared on the terminal's glass wall, portraying a composed woman passing 2 rows of people with lowered heads. The aircraft moved ahead, its engines creating a visible display of strength, leaving the lounge hushed. The chandeliers decreased in brightness, the marble floors no longer echoing with dominance. Noah turned to Claire, his gray eyes filled with concern. "Are you all right?" She responded with a nod, her hazel eyes following the curve of his smile. As the jet ascended, the autumn light diminished, revealing a line of the world's wealthiest individuals seeking her approval, their gestures a quiet acknowledgement of their previous treatment of her. She had experienced deep shame even being held. Within the exclusive VIP terminal of Rosebridge Airport, she appeared unassuming in an old hoodie and worn sneakers. Her appearance stood in stark contrast to the surroundings, a waiting lounge filled with Italian suits and platinum-tier memberships. The revelation arrived with undeniable force, and it couldn't be ignored. Everyone involved understood a crucial lesson. True authority isn't defined by appearance, it's established by presence, and the impact will be immediate. If you enjoyed this narrative, please like, share, and subscribe for similar stories. We'd love to hear from you. If you were Claire, what actions would you take?